on this episode of the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss podcast.
How are you going to live your life displaying the essence of who Christ is in you when bad things happen, when there is not the balance, when there is the thing that throws you up, when you hit the detour in life, when the road is closed, when you're going along and the road is closed. So it's not even so much about, okay, how do you balance all these? It's about, no, how do you live out Christ in you no matter what life throws at you?
That's the
That's,
discipleship part. Because for me personally, there was a time where I got lost in motherhood. Like you feel like you're a mother and that's all you're supposed to do. And then God wakes you up one day. He was like, no, that's not it. That's not all that I called for you to do. And so for moms who are navigating this path from just being a mom to being a mom and walking in the calling that God has called for them to walk in,
mhm.
there is a rhythm that has to be found. There is something that has to balance out there. And so this is what you do, correct? This you talk to
Yeah.
moms to help them find their rhythm.
It is the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss podcast.
So why would I walk away if God said I can handle it? If He has endowed me with dunamis power that lives in me, how can I live defeated?
But one of the things that I realized was that I'm a person too.
You're in the wilderness and you don't even realize it. And so now we walk around with the spirit of offense and unforgiveness and anger and bitterness. And God has to get that stuff off of us first.
Thriving Decrees for the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss is not just a book, but it is a power tool made for the leader in you as a wife, as a mother, as a business entrepreneur, and as a minister. Whatever is inside of us, it pours out of us in our leadership. And so this book was curated to ensure that the very best of you is what is being poured out. It was created to help you heal, overcome, and conquer everything that tries to hold you down from being the thriving leader that you were created to be. Make sure you go to my website at www.clamitradeshay.com and order your copy. Hey, Kingdom Wife Mom Boss, thank you so much for joining me today on another episode of the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss podcast. We are jumping right into June at this point. Like the year has been going by so fast. And man, I haven't checked with you guys in a while, but I hope that you're really minding yourself, finding ways to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, to make sure that you are taking care of your needs and everything that you have going on. And the special guest that I have today, I love the work that she does. And it's for me, it's also a form of minding yourself. Like, what is it that you're supposed to be doing, and how can we get you there? So, her name is Misty Hughes. I'm going to go ahead and allow her to introduce herself to the community.
So, hello so much. And thank you. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to our conversation and yeah, seeing where you take us. I have a feeling you asked some really insightful questions that will help us explore some of the inmost workings of our heart, what God is doing, what God is saying. So I love a good conversation. And did you want me to tell about myself a little bit or?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
go.
So you said my name is Misty. I am the host of a podcast called Mom to Mom Mentoring. And I have spent probably close to the last 25 to 30 years of my life saying yes to the Lord in that space of being a friend, a mentor to the next generation, to the women that are coming. As a young mom, I always had college girls in my life, and as I've gotten older, it's just been the journey I've been on. And so I am a coach. I am what else? I am a speaker. I have a retreat coming up in November. I love to do all the things that create space for women to come and reconnect their hearts with the heartbeat of the Father so they can truly live, lead, and love from a place of abundance and not from a place of chaos and striving. So that's my favorite thing to do. I did raise 4 kids and so had to learn how to do that for myself. So yeah.
So you said you've been in this space for 25 to 30 years. You've been coaching other moms for 25 to 30 years?
Well, I've been mentoring, and so it
Okay.
hasn't been moms because, like I said at the beginning, it was just younger women, college girls. We lived in a college community, and I mean, really what it was is I had 2 girls. I had 4 children at the time, and um, I had 2 girls. I went through a divorce and then I had 2 boys. And I looked around our community, our church community, and I was just like, Lord, where are the women that I want to emulate? I'm not seeing them in my life. Where the women that are being vulnerable and sharing their story and inviting other women to be a part of their lives, I'm not seeing them. And so I whined and complained about it and griped at the Lord about it. And then I was just like, okay, wait, I have 2 daughters and I do not want them to say the same thing I'm saying. And so Lord, I'll be answer to this question I'm asking. And so, yeah, so I just was prayed about it. And he was like, okay, here's 4 college girls. Begin to invite them into your life and into your home. And so that's just been my journey. And I feel like we reap what we sow. And so I was like, I'm going to sow into this so that my girls, when they get to be older, that they can reap the benefits of sowing in the spirit in this way. So, yeah.
Okay, so this conversation just got a whole lot more interesting. Number one,
Okay.
I absolutely have such a love and an honor for those that God calls to not necessarily fill up a space that's already been created, but to create a space. So there are times where we see situations and we're like, God, we need something different here. We need an answer there. And then we won't see, like, God, where's the answer? And then at some point, God's like, you are the answer,
I
right?
know, right?
You are the answer. And so he calls us to create programs or create certain space or certain time frames to answer the thing that we're praying for. And that is not easy. You are met with so much resistance sometimes. And I'd imagine some people have it a little easier than others. You might have like a lot of people in your quarter, but there are times where you're met with just, the enemy just does not want you to do it because he knows that that prayer needs to be answered as well. And so the fact that you're willing to say yes, well, that's got to be that's got to be incredibly frustrating to him. And as well, I'm very curious because I said the same thing to the Lord about certain situations. My daughter cheers, and so when I go to the campus to watch her cheer, I take the opportunity to pray over the campus. Like, hey, we're here. Let's pray over this campus. But my daughter tells me everything. We have a good conversation, and I start to think to myself, like, where are the mothers for some of these young girls or even some of these young men? And I'm like, Lord, how do we have these conversations with these children? How do we pray over these children? Like, what needs to happen with these children? And so I've really taken an interest to girls in transition from high school to college. Like, I've taken an interest with it. I haven't done anything with it. I'm just kind of
Yeah.
sitting here. So the fact that you said that was very interesting to me. So I love that you had a heart for it and God allowed you to do it. I'm curious about the transition from the college girls to the moms.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. And it's so funny that you're talking about that because I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's what I did again. So, I became a single mom in 1998 with 4 kids. And um, then eventually the kids and I moved to Kansas City, and I was involved in children's ministry, and I kept meeting other single moms, and they would be like, how do you get your children to sleep at night? And I'd be like, I don't know, let's just have coffee. So all of that, was going. I loved working with children. I mean, they keep it real for us, don't they? And all of a sudden I find myself connecting with all of these other single moms. And then people in our spiritual community began to say to me, Misty, you should start a single moms group. And I would be like, you should start a single moms group. I I know single moms, and they are not easy, and I do kids, and I'm completely happy. And so for probably about 2 years, I would hear this, and other women would be like, other single moms would be like, Misty, you should do something. And I'd be like, you should do something. What are you talking about? And so,
You're a mess.
and I'm like, and then it got to like the Lord. I felt like the Lord whispering, and that there was a summer. I told the Lord, I said, okay, for a summer, I will invite single moms to my house, and we will just worship you and let you come and minister to the ladies. I can do that. I can make a fruit salad. I can make it. So I did it for a summer. And so I'm sitting around telling these ladies at the end of the summer, I'm like, okay, ladies, that's it. We're done. Um,
Hmm.
I said, there's a lot of small groups in our community. I will help you find the small group for you to fit in. And one of the women just started crying. And I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, you don't understand. I do not trust people. I don't trust people with my kids. I don't trust people with my own heart. This is the only place I've felt safe. And I was like, and I like, she's talking to me one way and the Lord's talking to me one way. And I'm like, oh, come on, Jesus. And so it was then that I said, okay, I'll do this, Lord. And so I started a nonprofit for single moms in 2008. It is still going strong. In 2020, I stepped away from the leadership of that. So I would say it was in that season that I really began to transition into, just that space of walking alongside of women that were more my age or younger, but maybe even if they were my age or older, there were just, we can mentor older women as well as younger women. So yeah, so that's kind of my story. So I usually come out of the gate with like, Lord, you got the wrong person.
So what I hear you saying is you usually become a Jonah for at least just like a little bit period of time, and then you're
Yeah.
like, "Fine, Lord, I'll do it." That is hilarious. No, very interesting. That is
So,
very much somewhat similar to the story of my life. I used to actually be over a youth ministry in our church. And so very interesting. I love your story. And again, I have such a love and respect for people who rise up to the occasion that God is calling for them to have the space that, because
Yeah.
God literally knows that you're an amazing person for the assignment that He has. And
Uh-huh.
he didn't just allow you, like he didn't just speak that to you, he allowed you to see it through this mom that was confessing
Yeah.
that she didn't want to go
Yeah.
anywhere else. Like she just needed to
Right.
be there.
Yeah.
And I
And
think sometimes it's those moments that we have to see to remember, oh, this is why God is calling me to this space.
yeah. And, I mean, and he knows our frame. Like, yeah, even with your own journey that you're walking through with your daughter. I mean, he knows your capacity, he knows your heart, he knows everything about you. And if he's inviting you into this, he'll make it clear, right?
Right.
He will make it clear and you will know. And yeah, and so I think that sometimes, self included, I always call it the figure it out mode. Like, oh my gosh, I got to go figure it out. What's the Lord saying? What's and I put him in this box of you have to speak this way or do this thing or whatever. And he's so big and he knows us and he is so gentle in his leadership and he's so kind and he just woos us into that place of yes. And here's the thing is we said yes a long time ago, didn't we? We truly said yes to the Lord. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done in me and through me. So we said yes way back then. He's just ushering us into uh, what that yes might look like in the season that we're in. So,
Hilarious. Hilarious and beautiful. God is so amazing in that way. And so I truly love what you God has allowed you to do now, which is working with moms. Me and my husband just came back from like a weekend getaway, which
mm,
I very much needed. Like I so needed it because as you can imagine, you're wearing all the hats. And I have 4 kids. All my kids are home right now. My youngest is 3. And so, he was like, he surprised me with a spa day. And, he was just like, hey, I know, you got a lot that's going on. And you don't really get to rest. And so, as I was talking at the beginning of the podcast of just minding yourself, like ways to mind yourself, I did look on your website and I don't know if it was a podcast or a blog, and it said, you were called before you were busy. And so the platform that God has called you to, which is allowing you to really help moms find the rhythm of the platform,
mhm,
like the place that God is calling them to in motherhood.
mhm,
Because for me personally, there was a time where I got lost in motherhood. Like you feel like you're a mother and that's all you're supposed to do. And then God wakes you up one day. He was like, no, that's not it. That's not all that I called for you to do. And so for moms who are navigating this path from just being a mom to being a mom and walking in the calling that God has called for them to walk in,
mhm.
there is a rhythm that has to be found. There is something that has to balance out there. And so this is what you do, correct? You
Yeah.
talk to moms to help them find their rhythm. I want you to talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, there's a lot of nuances there. So first I want to define like purpose and calling. And so purpose, like our purpose, to me, this is Misty's definition, I guess. Purpose doesn't change. When we say yes to the Lord, our purpose is to be known by our Creator, right? And to know him, to love others with the love that he loves us with, right? But first we have to receive that love to be able to love others, seek him first and so there's a purpose that we have and then the way that that purpose plays out in the different seasons of life. If you're a mom, you're still fulfilling your divine purpose of God. You are still called and created to receive the love of God, to know God, and to love others with the love that He loves you with. Um, and so that doesn't change, but the spaces where we're fulfilling that purpose, where we're walking out that purpose, the callings at different season, that changes. And so if we can learn at a young age to relax into that place of that rhythm of resting in the knowledge of who he is and then who I am in him, that is something we can always come back to. When we lose ourselves, we have that. Oh, wait, I remember. That's why the Lord, as he takes people through the wilderness, right? As he took Israel through the wilderness, there were these times that they would come to, and he'd be like, okay, we're going to stop. And I want you to recount and remember all the things the Lord has done. And so that's what that rest or that pause allows us to reconnect with who he is so that we can live out of that place. And so when we talk about like the rhythms and everything, I take women through like this 4-step framework where, first we get to discover, who did God make you to be? What's your strengths? What's your values? Who at the core, at the end of it all, that the unchangeableness of who you're created to be. What does that look like? Let's get reacquainted, and possibly let's get acquainted with her for the first time, because some of us just, zoom through college and, career, marriage, and all this stuff, and we've never really discovered the essence of who God made us to be, or we've been told, oh, you shouldn't be this way, or you should be this way, or and so we've tried to bend ourselves into what others have told us who we are. So I love to help women discover the essence and the beauty of that of who God made them to be, and that's like the discovery. And again, and as we rest, because I mean, man, I am a big proponent of rest, have been in my early days of momhood, rest isn't a passive thing. Rest is active. Rest is I'm that place of, oh, I got to stop and remember the goodness of God. Rest isn't I'm unplugging and vegging out and watching Netflix for 10 hours. That's not rest. So I just want to, we can talk about that later. But so anyway, so it's just helping women rediscover or discover for the first time, and then define what's keeping me, what has kept me, what's keeping me from living out a rhythm that I know is good for my soul, right? And maybe I had that rhythm before and I've lost it, or maybe I never had it, but and then we just kind of get to work together and develop, what does that look like for me? Because what it looks like for you is going to be different than what it looks like for another woman, because we're all fearfully and wonderfully and uniquely crafted by our Father in heaven. So, but then after you have this, it's like the music in life changes, right? My boys used to play screamo music, and screamo,
What
like
is screamo music?
it screamed at me. I don't know, but it screamed at me.
Wait, is that an actual type of music or is that what
I
you
don't
call
know. That's what I called it.
screamo music?
And I'd be like, that music makes me angry. And if you were an angry mom, you keep playing
It's
that
true
music.
though. We can talk about that in a minute, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. But sometimes life plays screamo music at you, doesn't it?
Mm.
Right?
Hmm.
And if I have a if I have this rhythm of life that I know sustains my soul, then even when life plays screamo music, even when I react in a way I don't want to react, even when I have this pillar, these foundational things to come back to as I grow, as the tempo of life changes, whatever. So, yeah. So that's what I love to do. And it's a process, of course. Any transformational thing is a process. So, yeah.
That's funny. I was driving behind my daughter one day and I was like, girl, what in the world? And she was like, oh, I was listening to some music. Well, baby, you need to make sure you listening to some good gospel when you driving because what in the world was that? But anyways, when you said that, the way that it drives, that was hilarious to me. But there are so many things, so many good things that you said there. Number one, I think it is a golden standard in kingdom coaching to make sure that your clients have foundational relationships, a foundational relationship with God, because it's the baseline. It's the place that you can always come back to when you get lost, when you get frustrated, when you get confused. You can always quiet everything and come back to that relationship with God and ask God, okay, where am I? Did I make a wrong turn? What do I need to do? It is incredibly important for me in my life when I know that there's something going on. Okay, what do I need to pray for this child? What I need to pray for this child? What do I need to do for this? And what do I need to do for that? It is very important to me. And so that foundational relationship is just golden. Like you can't afford to not have it. And especially when, and you mentioned this as well, the world will taint who you are as a mother and as a business owner because of their expectations of you. When you are a Christian mother who has children, you have a business, like God is going to tell you exactly how he wants his business ran and exactly how he wants you to parent. But the world will throw those expectations on you. And again, that's where that foundational relationship comes into play, where you can go to God and you're like, hey, I'm feeling like I need to do this. Is this in alignment with what you said? You said it perfectly, fearfully, wonderfully, uniquely, beautifully made. And sometimes we take that beautiful uniqueness that God has given us and we feel forced to conform it to the world. And that's where confusion happens and the rhythm gets lost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does. I mean, it does. We're not going to do it perfectly. We've got, you know, life that happens. The kids throwing up, the cars broke down, I mean, we're not going to maintain this ideal day or whatever. You know, yeah. So,
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. So I'd imagine some of the clients that you get aren't necessarily ones that you have to aren't all the ones that you have to teach the rhythm, but you got to remind them to get back to the baseline so that they can rediscover the
well, I
rhythm.
I will say, um, like if we talk about rest, I'll tell you a funny story because I think some of the I don't know if framework is the right the like if we're laying the foundation, some of the foundational things for us to be able to stand on. Of course, Jesus is the rock, right? But it's things like rest and restoration, recuperation. And um, so much of it starts in that place of rest. And a lot of moms that I connect with, um, they, they, like one mom explained it this way. I said, tell me, if rest were a person, what would that person look like? And she'd be like, oh, rest would come knocking at my door and she'd have on her sweats and her sweatshirt and her bag of Cheetos, and she would just want to come into my house, watch Netflix, and eat Cheetos all day. And I don't need that. I don't have time for that. And so, like discovering how do we really feel about these things, right? Being honest with ourselves, having the space to really explore, if we know that a time of refreshing, or if we know that something might be good for our soul and we're not doing it, there has to be a journey of defining what is that obstacle that we are not incorporating this into our lives. And so what does that look like? Like a health coach might work on it with your diet. Well, you shouldn't be drinking 5 cans of pop a day. What is it that's keeping you from, getting that out of your diet? And so I'm kind of like a maybe a rest coach or something. I don't know.
Listen, I was gonna say Rest looks like an Uber driver who was supposed to bring my food, but they ate it on the way there. I thought I was gonna get something real good, but it did not happen.
Yeah, right?
Right? Like that is my rest sometimes. I told you, girl, I got a 3-year-old. So that's
Mhm.
what rest looks like for me
Yeah.
sometimes. Just
I
being
love that.
right?
I might have to quote you on that.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So I would imagine a lot of moms feel a lot of guilt when it comes when it comes to like figuring out how do I balance being a mom and being an entrepreneur without feeling like I'm taking away from my child. And so
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, when I wrote my very first book in 2020, I was stressed to the max. I had 3 kids at the time, full-time job, my husband, and I was writing a book. This is like during COVID and all of this other stuff going on. And so I sat on the couch one day and I was like, Lord, like, I know that you told me to write this book, and I don't think you gave me this assignment so that I would fail or so that I would feel the way that I was feeling. You're going to have to help me get through this. Like,
Hmm.
you are going to have to help me understand how I'm supposed to do all of this stuff, keep this house and do all of this stuff. And in that moment, I turned it over to God and He instructed me on how to do all of these things. And that was for me, that's why I can say that with such clarity. The foundational relationship with God is pivotal because I was feeling guilty. I was feeling like I wasn't there for my kids the way I needed to be there. I know I wasn't there for my husband the way that I needed to be there, but it's like I have this assignment and I want to go on, do this assignment and do this assignment. But at some point, I looked up and realized that I was neglecting everything else. And I
Hmm.
had to like ask him, how do I do this? So, what do you say to the mother that is feeling guilt from feeling like she's taken away from her child trying to fulfill this assignment?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I mean, we talk a lot about grace, right?
Hmm.
But I think, just even in your own story, you had to get to the end of yourself
Hmm. Hmm.
before you were able to step into grace.
Hmm.
And that's what it was. God's grace had been there, but you were striving and trying to do it all and neglecting and everything, and he had the plan, but you had to get to the place where you're like, I just can't do this. And that's the way it is for most of us. And so the woman who is struggling with guilt, and I've heard that from both sides. The mom who is a stay-at-home mom, her guilt because she's not helping provide for the family, or doing other things. And then the mom who is either working outside of the home or developing her own business, or fulfilling the thing that God's invited her into in that season. And she's got the guilt for. So guilt is just a nasty thing that we are trying to strive our way out of. Well, if I can just be better here, I won't feel guilty. Well, maybe if I plan a date night with my husband every week, then I won't feel guilty. Maybe if I do this with my kids, I won't feel guilty. And so it's a bar we will never, ever be able to jump over, because it's going to get raised every time we think we're close. And so I think the first thing is to recognize that guilt it is from the enemy, and we can't work our way out of it. And we exhaust ourselves trying. So you go ahead, honey. You try to work your way out of guilt because God will get you to the end of yourself and you will learn the beauty of falling into grace, right?
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's what I would say is like, just that it's this bar you're never going to get out of. And, like we can figure out, like I'm your coach, if you want to make plan A, plan B, and plan C, and if you want to do all the things, and if you want to keep striving, I'll cheer you on and you keep going. It's oftentimes God just getting us to the end of ourselves. I always tell God, I'm always like, I forgot. You like to be God, don't you? I was so
Misty,
busy.
you are a mess, girl.
I was just so busy trying to be you.
It's true.
And
It's very true.
you just want to be you and I forgot. So,
Listen, I love the transparency. It is very true. We're so busy trying to find our own way, and I love what you said that like you're not going to get out of it. It's almost like a pit of quicksand. Like you keep trying to navigate your way
yeah.
out. Somebody has thrown you a rope or a stick, and you're still trying to wiggle yourself out, and they're like, "No, let me pull you out of there. You're not going to be able to get yourself out of there." And I love that. Like that was what came to me when you were talking about, trying to get yourself out. Fall in grace. And that is essentially what happens. You get to the end
Hmm.
of yourself and you're like, "Oh my God, I can't figure this out by myself."
Hmm.
And then there's that moment when you realize, "Oh yeah, you're God."
Yeah. Yeah. And
Ta-da!
and you like to be God. Silly me. I
Ta-da!
thought I
You're
thought you wanted
God.
me to be it for you.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And so I'm reading this book, Atomic Habits. I've had it forever
Oh yeah.
and did not have time to read it. But anyways, there's a part in there where it talks about that your brain can only function on like one task at a like figuring out one task at a time. And he was basically saying that if you have these things in place, like you have these habits in place, then it's not something that your brain has to figure out because it's already a habit, making good habits. And so as you were talking, I was thinking, for me, that was that moment of me asking God how to do this. And he, like, literally throughout the years, he gives you instructions of, hey, do this at this time, do this at this time. Like you're making it a habit. And so when something pops up, it's not something that you really have to like figure everything out. You kind of just
Hmm.
go back to that baseline and be like, okay, God, restructure my day. Like how do we do this? But
Right.
if it's already a habit, it doesn't feel like something that you're having to figure out and navigate every single day, because that is truly when you exhaust yourself
Hmm.
every single day trying to figure out how to get out of this quicksand, how
Yeah.
to get out of the pit of guilt.
Yes, yes. And it does. So I had to do this. My boys, sometimes all four of the kids, but mostly my boys would go every other weekend to visit their dad, right? And when they came back, it was like crazy in our home for 3 or 4 days. And so I had to learn that if I was at peace, if I had these habits, if I had these rhythms in our life when the boys came home, if I had these rhythms for them to come back into, that we could get back into home and, their now the word is nervous system's regulated. We didn't have that language. I was like, they're just happier. And everybody's happier. But I just love that God so long ago was teaching me these things just through the journey of my own life. And it was out of necessity. It was out of that place where you were at, where I was just like, God, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. Nobody ever wrote a book on how to do this. And if they did, it wasn't for our family, it was for their family. And so it's that leaning in and listening to his direction for you in that season of your life. So that's beautiful. I'm glad you shared that story.
Girl, it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess season, I'm just telling you. But Just saying. And so something that you said that kind of goes with it's on your website that kind of goes along with the conversation that we're having. You posted on there that it's not a lack of faith, it's a lack of rhythm. So yes, I believe that God made me a mother and I believe God gave me this assignment and I believe that he's going to help me do it, but I'm stuck and I don't know how to get it done. And so you get to go in and teach them really, do you teach them kind of how to sit with God and to gain that rhythm? Do you give them strategy of how to get stuff done? Like, what is your angle? And does it depend on like the person?
Yeah, so I do a group coaching cohort. And so with that one, we are definitely just going through the rhythm of rest, the rhythm of restoration, and the rhythm of relationship. And then I save the sweet one for the end, and that's the rhythm of recreation because we
Yeah.
gotta have that. And so, but in that, it really is getting back to the basics, getting back to the foundational parts. But if I do one-on-one coaching with women, again, then we get more deeply into the nitty-gritty of, hey, what's not working for your life? What is working for your life? I love that verse, and I'm gonna share it Misty's version. Without a vision, okay, it says without a vision the people perish. The way
Hmm.
I say it is without a vision, you're gonna wander around in the desert for 40 years and then you're gonna die. So,
Wow. Missy Burton just blows it right up.
because I mean that's what happened. They didn't have a vision for, you know, the God of the promise and the faithful God that could fulfill their promise. And as a result, they wandered around the desert for 40 years and they died. And so I don't want that, right? So what does the vision look like, beloved? Where are you going? What does that look like? Who do you want to be? Who's God inviting you into? And so that's the starting point. The starting point is the vision. The starting point is let's get a vision because again, oftentimes in the mom world and the wearing all the hats world, we are so in the weeds that we can't even think about where we're going. We're just hoping we're not going to fall into the quicksand, right?
Right.
And so anyway, so with one-on-one coaching, we dive into that part a little bit more. And so, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Hmm. That's very interesting. That is very interesting. I'm just kind of taking that in because you definitely have to, first of all, to take on an assignment like this and have it be foundational teaching as far as like relationship with Christ. You know, somebody said something the other day and it changed the way that I look at business, not
Mm,
just the way that I look at life,
okay.
but the way that I look
Tell
at
me.
even business. And he said, Jesus, what did he say? He said, there's a difference between Christian and disciple.
Hmm.
And he's like a Christian, you know, they believe Jesus, they put on Jesus. A disciple essentially teaches other people about Jesus. And whenever you have a Christian business and you're trying to help these people do things in the alignment of the assignment that God has for them, you essentially have to be a disciple.
Mm,
Like you can't just be the Christian version of this. You can't just like necessarily just have Christian values and Christians baselines and give scriptures, you have to actually disciple these people
mhm.
into the assignment that God is calling them to.
Amen. Yeah.
And it literally just changed my perspective of how I look at things. And so that's how I'm looking at this conversation that we're having. Like you're taking these moms who know that they have something greater and you have to make sure that you push them to the something greater, but you push them discipling them and making sure that they walk with God the entire way, not leaving anything behind, not feeling like they're shortchanging anybody in their family or anything that God has already assigned to them, but that they are balancing out these things with the rhythm and the pace
Hmm.
that God is calling for them to do it
Hmm.
as they introduce this new assignment into their lives. And
Yeah.
that's heavy.
That is heavy. And the thing is, it's like one thing, like, I don't believe in the word balance. I believe that's a mythical land that we're never going to make it to.
Now
But
you are the second person that I've interviewed that have said that, and you gotta tell me why, because I believe in balance.
do you really? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so first I'll get to that in a second, but first let me go back to let me think about what I was going to say. It had to do with,
I
oh my
said
God.
that was deep that you have to
Yeah.
teach them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I know what it was. It's not even so much about helping them attain that balance. It's about, okay, what are you going to do? How are you going to live your life displaying the essence of who Christ is in you when bad things happen, when there
Mhm.
is not the balance, when there is the thing that throws you up, when you hit the detour in life, when the road is closed, when you're going along and the road is closed. So it's not even so much about, okay, how do you balance all these? It's about, no, how do you live out Christ in you no matter what life throws at you?
That's the
That's
discipleship part.
yeah. And so that means I have to be pursuing that all the days of my life. I can't, I say on my podcast a lot, I only teach from the place of having lived it. I only share from the place of having the story of transformation that God's done in me. Um, I prayed years ago, God, please keep me from being a noisy gong and clanging cymbal. The world is full of noise and clang. And so that means typically we have to live it. We have to live it out. He puts the message, he builds it in the tapestry of who we are through lived experience. And so I'm still living the experience, I guess. I'm still learning, I'm still growing. My kids are all adults, but one of the most beautiful things that I'm pretty sure every one of them has said to me at one time, Mom, the thing we love about you is you're always learning and you're always growing and you're always evolving. And I'm just like, yes, Lord. May that always be true. I don't ever want to come as, and as a young mom, I was pretty my way or the highway, right? And so they still love me through all that.
No, that's true. If ever, man, I always, my prayer to God is always, please do not give me over to like my own mind. Like,
Hmm.
don't do that. A reprobated mind. Like, please don't do that. I'm like, whatever you gotta do, guy, hit me upside the head, whatever you have to
Yeah.
do, but please don't ever give me over to that, because that is the point where you stop learning and you
Hmm.
stop growing and you're stuck in yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you're stuck in your mind, and God's like, that's not the place that I had for you.
Hmm.
But he will give you over to yourself if you fight him long enough. You fight him hard enough, and he's not like, he will give you over to yourself. And I love that
Yeah.
your kids acknowledge the fact that you're continuously allowing God to shift you and grow you
Mhm.
and change you as you work the entrepreneurial side out, and you're still the mother to your children. Like, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. So, okay, you want to go back to balance now?
Girl, let's go back to balance, because
Okay,
I'm
let's
just
go
trying
back to
to figure
balance.
it out.
Okay, all right. So there is this tool that I often give new clients. It's called the Wheel of Life. Have you ever done it?
No.
Okay, so it basically takes 8 to 10 different areas of your life. It might be, your home environment, your finances, your relationships with, your immediate family, relationships outside of your family, your spiritual well-being, your emotions. So it takes these different areas of your life and it's on a circular and you rate them 1 to 10. 10 being I am arrived, I have no need of anything. I'm where I want to be here. and one being, I have a long way to go, right? And so you rate it and you put your little things around and then you connect the dots. Well, if you think of a balance, you think all the dots are going to be even all the way around the circle. I'm going to be 8. I'm going to be 7. I'm going to be 1 in every area. But typically in life, like even let's say when you were writing the book, you're like, okay, I'm at a 3 right now at my relationships in my home, but I'm at a 7 in my business because I'm doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing. And my book hasn't sold anything, so I may just be at a 5 in my finances. And so you've got these, and if you connect them, you're going to have it, it's going to be, your numbers are going to be all over the place.
Right.
And that is normal life. That is not balance. That is the normalcy of the fallen world we live in. It is imperfection. I like to think of the word harmony. Even if the numbers aren't all the same, am I at peace with where everything's at? And can I still move forward even though there's not that full perfect balance? And will I move forward? And so anyway, so I like the word harmony better than balance.
So you are the second person that I've had a conversation with about that. They said that they like the word harmony as well and not the word
Huh?
balance. I still actually like the word balance, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I like the word balance because I think where I am not, where I lack, where I'm incapable, like God's grace is carrying the rest of it. And so he balances me out when I can't, like I don't have it. You know what I mean? And so I guess I look at it from a different perspective, not like I got to keep all these things up to a certain level, just understanding that God will lead me to where I can sustain and he has the rest.
That's
Like
good.
he has the rest because
Uh-huh.
there are moments where I'm like, Lord, it's in your hands. I just can't do it. Like I'm done. Right. I think
Yeah.
once you get to the point where you realize, like that moment when I was sitting on the couch, I realized like I don't have total control of every situation or everything. Like I literally have to give this over to God. And I think when I got to that point where I realized that even at one time, like whenever something else comes up in life, I'm able to like think about that moment and say, okay, like I have to give this to God because I don't want to bottom out. Like I don't want to spiritually bottom out, mentally, physically bottom out. I have to give this thing to God and he'll balance me out. Like he'll balance me out. So I don't know.
No, I like that. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I mean, it sounds like the same word. It sounds like I'm like when I talk about it, I'm like, okay, it's living at peace and at harmony, and you're leaning into the Lord in those deficit areas to live at peace and harmony, but you call that he's doing the balancing
Doing
act.
the rest.
You're not striving for the balance. And I
I think
think yeah.
go
Does
ahead.
that make sense? I think a lot of people when they think of the word balance, you being the exception, um, it's that, oh, I've got to attain, I've got to find my balance, where you're saying, no, I'm not balanced, but God puts all things together beautifully. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the way you put that. I was just gonna say that could even go back to the conversation that we had of feeling, when moms feel like they got to do it all themselves, they got to figure it out all themselves. Superhero syndrome. We talk about this all the time. Super moms, like,
Mm.
girl, take the cape off. Take the cape off. It's easier said than done. I do get it because you've had to figure it out for yourself for so long. And even married women sometimes have had to figure it out for themselves because they didn't get the support that they needed from their spouse.
Mhm.
And so you have this like super mom, superhero syndrome, and it's hard for you to really let go and allow God to move you to that space. So again, answering the call while being a mom, and you get to help these women figure out how to
Mm.
do that. Do you have anything that you want to like leave with the community? Any tips, any nuggets? What you want to say, girl?
Oh, I don't know. I think we've said a lot, don't you?
We have. We've had a really
We've
great conversation. And I think it's a conversation that needs to be had more often. As you, I see an influx of women who are um shifting the narrative of just being a housewife or being a mom to walking into entrepreneurship or walking into certain leaderships or in certain ministry roles that God is calling them to walk in. And these women have good relationship with God, and God's just like, hey, I need you to go here and I need you to do a little bit more. But the transitioning period is just a little difficult sometimes. So
Yeah.
we've definitely had a good conversation about what that looks like.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the cape that you're
Oh, go for
inviting, that
it.
because I had this thought, and so you say we're just going to talk about God and whatever the Holy Spirit brings up. So I'm just going to say this thought I had. So I had this thought when you talked about take off that cape, superhero mom, and I want to speak to the mom who feels like if she takes off the cape, that she's naked underneath
Girl.
and she's going to be so exposed. And I just want to say, it's okay. It's okay. God will walk you into that process. And even in that, you don't have to strive. He knows your frame. He sees you from afar. He knows the very words you're going to speak before you even utter them. And so, if you're so afraid that taking off the cape means, it says, Adam and Eve even hid. I mean, there's sometimes these places or spaces of hurt or uncertainty or such great fear in us that it's like just that idea, if I take off the cape, everything will fall. My world will fall apart. And it's okay. God is not going to strip you in a way that leaves you without like any kind of foundation or anchor. And I just want to like speak to that mom that I feel might be listening and going, I can't take off my cape. You don't see. You don't know. You don't understand. And I'm like, you're right. Maybe we don't, but God does. And He's kind and He's gentle. And so there's no pressure.
Oh, that's beautiful. I know that came from God. Somebody definitely needed to hear
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So, Misty, how can we get in touch with you if a mom wanted to reach out to you or to see if you guys are a good fit for working together?
Yeah. Well, it's super easy. My first and last name, mistyhughes.com, is my website. They can find my podcast on there. They can find my um, blogs on there if they're a reader and not a listener. There are, all the tips and tricks, free offers. I have a Rhythm of Life free mini guide that they, will get dropped in their box like every 2 or 3 days that can kind of help them reevaluate and reassess these three foundational rhythms of life. And so anyway, so there's a lot on there. So it's just firstandlastname.com. Pretty easy.
Okay, Mr. We're so grateful to have you pour into the community today. You have, yes, indeed, left a lot of nuggets and a lot of wisdom with the community, and that closeout, listen, that closeout pour was amazing for a lot of women who need to hear that it's okay to be vulnerable and allow God to lead you. You got to
Hmm.
shut out the world and not care what any of them think and just
Hmm.
allow God to do it. So thank you so much again. You are a beautiful spirit and a nice additive to the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss community. All right. So if you don't have anything else to share, we're going to go ahead and sign out.
Okay. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me so much. It's been such a joy to be here with you. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right, ladies. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Hey, I hope that you enjoyed the episode. Make sure that you catch us every week here on the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss podcast, where we are bringing you new episodes, new content, new information, new empowerment, new strategies, and new strength. Until then, I'll catch you next time.